I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 107 of the Parenting Autism Show. We are here today, brought to you by Chris and Sandy.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about our son and autism.
That's pretty much the gist of it.
That's it.
So our recap today is going to be the most recent vacation that we had last week. And we've been going through a lot of changes lately, which includes therapies and schedules. And we've been getting new schedules and mixing days and times and adding and subtracting. And it's a little bit mind-numbing at a certain point. But I started writing it all out. And I thought today, what better way to just kind of talk it out live on the air so people kind of just hear what all we're trying to balance. Believe me, I know everybody lives busy lives. I don't take pride in that. I don't want a badge saying my day was busy. I'm seeking the opposite, but we have a lot of things that we need to do for Bryce and for ourselves that have to be prioritized. And I think that's just as we roll into the new season, as we end this summer and go into the fall, I think it's just going to be really important that we really look at each thing we keep on our calendar to make sure that it's what needs to be going on at this time in this season of life. Because as we know, things come and things go. Things come back. Some things never come back. But it's just a lot going on right now. So I feel like we went on vacation and I've been describing it as the perfect blend of activities and relaxation. I felt like I got to sleep a lot on this vacation, which I really needed. We left on a Friday night and it took until Tuesday for me to really actually feel rested. So I was able to enjoy the rest of the week, which was great. But we planned something each day and we can talk about those things. But we also carved out time to rest. And I think here at home, I can't believe that we just got home 1 week ago because it feels like so much happened in the past 7 days. But I also know that we have to do a lot of things, but it's going to be important that we have days like today, because today is Sunday, go to church, do our podcast, but then really have that family time that we can kind of wind down. And, that's a priority too. The Sabbath, God created it for a reason. So,
Did we talk about switching churches yet?
We did say that we were going to, and that we had found one. Yeah. So,
yes.
And we went back today, and it just gets affirmed each week. So we're really happy about that. And that's, speaking of church, we'll just kind of start there, and then we'll go back to vacation. But you asked me, I think it was last night, you said, how do you, Bryce could go in the auditorium with us. I mean, you think, I think you asked me this morning, actually. You said, you think he'd be okay with that? Because this is a much smaller church than we've gone to before. They still have live music, but it's nothing compared to like the sensory overload of the other church.
And the only reason I suggested it was because his best friend.
Because Michael goes in there, right?
Goes in there,
yeah. So his best friend Michael prefers to not go in with the little kid or with the kids service. He'd rather stay in the adult service. And I had told you, speaking from experience, at 9, starting to go to church, I loved going to the kids' service. It was a lot more fun. They had games. It was, it was designed for the kids. And I had to also go to church on Sunday night and Wednesday night when I was growing up. And I had to sit in the big adult service. And me and my friends, we found ways to entertain ourselves. The music was fine, but when the preacher was giving the sermon, yes, you were hearing it, but for me to just sit there and listen every time, every week was not easy for me or my friends. So we learned how to create little puzzles or draw or whatever. We kept ourselves occupied. I don't think Bryce has that skill set to do that right now. So I didn't think he would do well during the preaching part. But then today we got there and we learned that on the 5th Sunday, when they have one, which is a few times each year, that the kids go into the service and it's a family service. So I thought to myself, oh, how ironic that you asked me that this morning. And now we're going to learn how he does. So you went back to the car real quickly to get the headphones, which we normally need on standby anyway. And so I was explaining to Bryce that he was going to be going in with us, which he had asked us before, what's it like where you're at? What do they have? So I'm like, well, you're going to get to see what we do while you're in the kids' room. So I say that overall, he did great. He handled it. He tolerated it all. Was he fidgety and bored a bit? Yes, he was. He didn't know what to do with that, but he handled it and he did really well. And they did a great job. Like, they had a game that they brought the kids up and so they asked the kids to all come forward. So Bryce goes forward with the kids. Michael still didn't. It's like he's not comfortable enough to do that. But Bryce, no problem. Okay, so he goes up. Of course, we have no idea what's going to happen. And they did the game at first, and they even called on Bryce, and he answered. But they had to call out numbers, and Bryce participated, and it was great. And when he did do his numbers, it was a matching game, and they didn't match. He handled that fine, which was good because, previous years, that could have been a problem. Like, oh, no, I got it wrong. But nope, he handled all that fine. And then the kids were sitting on the floor because it was a point that they could all sit. And Bryce missed that cue. And so he was still standing. And that's one thing that I was just thinking about as that was happening was he misses cues like that other people would see. If everybody else stands, normally everybody else does.
It did stick out like a sore thumb because of obviously he was the only one left standing. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, is it his peripheral vision? Because did he really see the kids next to him
good point,
sit
babe.
down because he was looking at the stage?
I didn't think about
right?
that. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, he either totally missed the cue or he's not seeing the other kids sitting.
That's true. And it's possible that he doesn't have peripheral vision and he didn't see them. And he was focused and engaged and happy to participate. And he stands out as well because he had his neon green colored headphones on.
He's the only
but
one
then I think
with
that's great as well because that kind of gave the other people in the church a visual cue that there may be something different about Bryce. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, there was a baptism today, and Bryce is very interested in getting baptized. And so we wanted him to watch it. And of course, this time it wasn't going to be a walk by with unexpected clapping that freaked him out, like the other church. But he knew what was going to happen. We had his headphones for him because we told him people would be clapping because it's a celebration. And it was actually 3 children that got baptized today, 1 teenager and 2 younger kids. And so we had mentioned before that the gentleman who's over the children's service at this church, his 13-year-old daughter has autism. And so we've met her before. And so it was her younger sister that was getting baptized. And so, I'm sure people at the church have come to know her because it is a smaller family-like church. And so when her sister was getting in, it was really sweet. Like, to me, I told you, I teared up because I was just like watching the whole thing from a parenting autism perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And she's watching her little sister get baptized and she's yelling, "Is it cold?" Mm-hmm. And you could just hear the people around us laughing like they could appreciate her, right? Mm-hmm. And she was so excited for her sister. And then she's like, "Okay, everybody be quiet. Shh, don't talk." But yet she could talk. And then after her sister was baptized and, her dad got to do it and hugged her. And then she went over, she's like, "Give me a hug." And I just felt like, they're going to understand Bryce. And it's going to be okay that he's standing up in the church with his headphones on, standing out, like you said, standing out like a sore thumb, but a sore thumb that is just, no one's going to be like whispering or laughing or mocking I just felt like it was okay, and that was a good feeling to have today that I wasn't expecting going there, but it really cemented for me, like, yes, this is where you're supposed to be right now. And this is where you can get involved in this church. And Bryce is going to grow in this church. They also said that the kids that were getting baptized today went through a children's design class to make sure that they understand, that they've accepted the Lord as their Savior and what baptism means. And I think that's great too. So after church, when you went in to get your birthday sandwich from Mission Barbecue, even though your birthday was May, Chris spreads it out year round so that he can feel the love.
Yeah, so let me explain.
Go ahead and
that
explain that.
So, you get these birthday freebies when your birthday comes around. Well, the first couple of years is like, well, how am I going to go around to all these places and get all these freebies on one day, right? So, and some of them give you till the end of the month or whatever. So I just decided, you know what? For each place, I'm just going to do a different month. And then each month I'll get something from a place for my birthday.
So
it doesn't have to be on that day, just once a year from wherever.
And the places don't require ID. So, yeah. So anyway,
that's what I do.
As you enjoyed your birthday brisket sandwich today, Bryce and I stayed in the truck while you went in. And so I asked him to pause his game. And I said, how was church today? And he said, it was good, great. I said, okay, what was your favorite part? And he said, I like the games. I said, okay, good. So that was great. I said, I know it was hard for you to sit still, but you did a really good job. I said, what did you think of the baptism? I want to do that. And I said, okay, when can I do that? And I said, well, here they're going to have a class for you. And then they're going to just make sure that you understand about you having Jesus in your heart. I said, why? I said, how did I ask him? I tried to ask in a way that I wasn't leading him, but I wanted to make sure he understood. And I said, well, how do you know that you're going to go to heaven? He goes, oh, I have Christ in my heart. And I said, well, that's great. I said, and how did that happen? And he said, well, I asked him, and he kind of fumbled on his words because, again, his sentence structure is not perfect. And I said, okay, and then what happened? And he said, well, the Holy Spirit came in me. And I said, that's right. And he goes, God is in me. I said, that's right. And I said, and what happened to your sins? And he said, he forgave them. I said, okay, I think you understand it really well. He goes, I think I understand it. I said, I think you understand it too, buddy.
That's amazing.
So that was really good. He'll go through this class. They will get to talk to him. And I can't say how happy I am that we have found this place, for our family to get involved and grow in the Lord, and importantly for Bryce, you know. So anyway, so that's the update there. And that was really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So on our list of priorities, it should not be a surprise to our listeners that church is a high priority for us. And we're really doing our best now to carve out Sundays to be church and our little family day and the podcast. I think Sunday kind of works for us to come on here and after church and then just kind of hang out as a family. One thing I know we want to do with Bryce on Sundays is bring out a board game of some sort so that it's not just a video game, but something where we can play together as a family and keep him interested in that, and working on social, which seems like is a constant thing that we have to learn to do. And speaking of that, I will lead into ABA. Yeah, we'll get to vacation at some point. There's just been so much going on. So right now we're having ABA parent training once a week. And so Miss Felissa's coming to our house in the evenings, and she spends about an hour with us, and we talk about what Bryce currently needs help with. And so this week it came up that he had to go to the dentist this past week. And I guess there was a child crying. So I'm going to let you talk about what happened because you were at the dentist. And I'm not sure I know everything because you didn't show me the video.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna turn down his game out there. So we're gonna pause for a second. I'll come back and tell about the dentist experience. Okay, the volume worked its way up to 75 out of 100 somehow. So, anyway, so we're at the dentist for a checkup, and of course there's a very young child there. I would say maybe 2 or less getting their teeth looked at. And it was not fun for the child.
Oh,
So,
that's why.
the baby, I'll call it a baby because might as well have been a baby.
Toddler, yeah.
So Bryce was in the chair, and he was just about done. The doctor needed to come over and check on his teeth. Like, they had done the cleaning and everything. And Bryce got out of the chair. Baby starts crying. I said, let me go get your headphones. So I left him in there because the doctor was going to come over. And I don't think the hygienist was quite done with. They were picking out a prize or something like that. So they were doing something. So I was like, okay, let me run out and get his headphones. Because, you don't expect crying baby next to you at the dentist office too often. So I went out and got the headphones, came back in, and he was standing up at this point, looking at the baby, frozen. Like, he was just, and I said, here's your headphones. And he took the headphones and he held them in his hand. And the baby continued to cry. And then Bryce let out a scream, and which was unusual for him. So I for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why he wasn't putting the headphones on, because it was obviously bothering him. He was looking at the baby, and then he let out a scream. So in the heat of the moment, I said, Bryce, put your headphones on, just like that. And so he put them on, and so then the doctor was there, and he laid back down in the chair. Doctor looked at his teeth and said everything was okay. So we got up, we checked out, and then we removed ourselves from the situation, and we went out front. I took his headphones off. I had him sit down on the pillar there. And I said, what's going on? I said, why didn't you put the headphones on when I brought him in? And very just like that. That's the way I asked. And he says, well, I didn't know how. And I'm like, no, that wasn't it. And then, we had a little more conversation. I was afraid of putting them on upside down. No, I'm sorry, Bryce. That's not it. So
interesting.
And finally, he comes out and says that he was like frozen. There was like he couldn't move. He said he couldn't move.
I believe that.
I said, like, you were frozen, and he says yes. And so I said, okay. And so we finished the conversation. I recorded me talking to him so that we could share it with the psychologist. And so that was it. We wrapped it up.
Did you ask him about the scream? I mean, you asked him why he didn't put his headphones on. Did you ask him why he screamed? Just curious. I mean, we know. Well, what his reason for... I'd like to hear his reason for why he screamed.
I didn't ask him that.
Okay.
I just assumed that it was out of frustration and that he couldn't handle it. So, no, I didn't ask him.
Okay.
So then I showed the psychologist the videos, and he says, well, he said that it could be that, and there's a technical term for it that I don't remember what he called it, but basically tit for tat type thing. The baby was screaming, so when Bryce screamed, he was a little louder than the baby, and he was trying to drown out the baby with his scream.
I can buy that too.
So to suppress the baby's scream, he screamed. So, but he looked at all the videos, and so he got the gist of it and knew what he was going to do. So when they came out of their session, they talked about thought bubbles. And so when something like that happens, Bryce should try to have a thought bubble in his head pop up about something totally unrelated to what's going on that might comfort him, or, maybe do some addition or subtraction, like a math problem, or
I told him maybe think about music, like his favorite songs.
That type of thing.
Because that can switch the side of his brain, too, if he goes to music.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk too much about it, but I'm glad I was able to show him the videos, and then he can take it from there with him. And Bryce really likes talking to him, so.
He does. So that's another thing that we've added to our schedule, but we are in agreement that this is really helpful and important for Bryce right now. And it is going to be every other week, right?
Every other week.
So,
and, this is to get Bryce through his unconventional, I'll call it unconventional thought process on certain things, like his SIBs.
Where he tries to hurt himself, for people that don't know what that means.
Yeah, and situations like this, it's like, I don't know that that's an autism thing, SIBs are, but some of the times the way he thinks is just,
it's unusual.
And we
know it is because we've run this by a team of therapists throughout the years. We get new ones and we'll ask them, and they're all like, oh.
They give us the look like,
don't know that one. Don't think that's I haven't had that before.
You should see a psychologist. Okay, So, all right.
So,
that's where we're at.
We have found the right one.
Yeah.
He's a great Christian psychologist. And I didn't say last time on the podcast that he actually prayed with you at the end of Bryce's testing results. And that floored me in a beautiful way. But who has that happen? I mean, seriously, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Because we didn't choose him because, let's find a Christian psychologist, neuropsychologist for Bryce. We didn't. We were like, who's on our insurance plan that will be able to do this for Bryce, and we'll cover the testing.
Yeah.
And
it was like $4,000 worth of testing that his insurance covered. He was the only one.
And we drove an hour to that.
100-mile radius.
Yeah. And then for him to be this Christian that is now counseling our son, that's all God.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, that's all going on. And thanks for sharing that, because again, I didn't get all of the details from you, but you do a great job with him, babe. I mean, what can we say? What are you going to do? I mean, I do believe that he could have been literally like he couldn't move. And that makes me sad and breaks my heart for him, because it's like his version of a meltdown. He's not falling to the floor, right? Which is what he would have done before.
Right.
But he doesn't know what to do.
I told the doctor, I said, a couple of years ago, he would have been on the floor in a meltdown.
And
he's like, okay, well, we're making progress.
Exactly. In our books, it's progress, for sure.
Between the diet and his supplements, I think that has mellowed that.
I think it has as well. So anyway, that's like I said, this week coming back has been like, woo, what a week.
I know that we mentioned last episode, I think it was, about taking him off of the gluten-free diet for the Philly trip and how out there he was.
Yes.
And I'm very thankful to say that after we re-implemented the diet, that he is coming back. Like, he's not asking me, what did you say? What did you say? Like, he's getting it, and we're getting back to where we were.
Yeah. This vacation, we went to a grocery store. We went with our best friends, and we did meal planning.
Yeah, we kept him gluten-free.
And he stayed gluten-free that entire trip. So you can travel and make it work.
You can.
It just takes planning. Extra time. But man, is it worth it?
Yeah.
So it was really good.
So, anyway.
So another thing we added to our calendar this week was gymnastics for Special Olympics. But we did that for Bryce. He doesn't get a PE class. And right now we're in the middle of the summer in Florida, and taking him out even into our backyard is not ideal.
Let me just interject here
Sure.
and say that we started fourth grade a few weeks ago, and we went on vacation, came back from vacation, and we've implemented so many things into his schedule and rearranged his schedule.
I know.
That we got 2 classes completed this week out of
4.
let me say 2 sessions
Okay.
of school out of like the 20 that were set for the week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a rough start to fourth grade. We're getting into our groove, and
you know what?
We need a lot of time for him. We just need a lot of time for him.
And this is why we're going to write it all down and
Which I
prioritize
it. I have the priority.
Oh,
I have
know.
the morning schedule. I have.
You're doing great.
You know,
it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And if it takes 12 months, it's going to be Bryce's timeline. And I think that's we've got to come into agreement with that. And if fourth grade runs longer than what would be anticipated for his peers, so be it. Mm-hmm. Because his peers don't need all these other things that we just described, which is ABA and speech and OT. Psychologist. And he does need Special Olympics. He's got to have these other outlets, And for him to go and do the gymnastics. And
he loves it.
He loved it. Oh, my goodness. And he's looking forward to it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And there's another little girl in there.
That's how I build my muscles.
He did. Yeah. And there was another girl there that she's 10, so she's his age. And her mom said she was so excited to join Special Olympics because she wants friends, and she's homeschooled as well. And so when I told Bryce afterwards, I said, "You know that girl that was there, the one with the dark hair beside?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "She wants to be your friend." Did he get so excited or what?
Yeah.
He's like, "She wants to be my friend?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "She does." He goes, "Oh, how do we make friends?" I said, "Next week, I want you to tell her your name and that you want to be her friend, and she wants to be your friend."
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a beautiful thing. I feel so excited about that. He does bowling. He's not there to make friends at bowling. That's not his jam there. Mm-hmm. But he loves doing the bowling and being there among everybody. Mm-hmm. But there's not like interaction where he's making a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I feel like it's still like a PE. It's an activity. It's getting him out. He gets to go to Orlando for that next week. He loves getting the awards.
Yeah.
And he'll continue to grow into this. And I think as he grows into it, he will start making friends. And it's all good. So we got bowling. We have gymnastics. We started a pen pals group here in our area. When Bryce was 3, we had pen pals, and we met some of our friends that we're still friends with through pen pals, which is great. And our ABA team put it together, and they're like, there's some other parents we want you to meet. And the goal was that the kids could get together to have social, but really that the parents could have a group meeting as well, and get to know other families in the community. And it lasted for a couple of years, and then it just kind of faded out once Bryce got into school and life happened, and then COVID really shut it down. So we said, let's start it again. And so we did. And we did it last month, and there was a family that came, and we did it again this month, and there were 2 families that came, but I think it's going to get some feet. We're only going to do it once a month. Before we did it every week, and that seemed like too much. So if we do it once a month.
One game,
not 2, so that doesn't wear the kids out. It's not too late for the parents.
Join our page for that.
Yeah, I have a feeling
I think
it's going to build and grow. Yeah. And so that was this week as well.
I mean, that's all you see on the social media pages is, we need social opportunities. Well, when they come up, we have to participate in those, because if we don't, then they go away, And so you want to pick the ones that you think your kid will do best at or be, most inclined to do and run with it.
And where it's good for you as a parent, as well, because I think on this journey, it is really important to meet other parents
And
that understand your world.
I think
And that's an opportunity.
Us as parents, we have a special place in our hearts for other kids.
Yes.
That are on the spectrum or have special needs. And when they come bowling with us, it's like you meet their parents and you cheer them on,
Yes.
Because, it took a lot for them to be there. And go ahead.
And I know I was going to say, that's funny that you said about cheering them on, because yesterday you were cheering on the young man who was next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting some strikes.
Yeah,
he was
Michael.
doing really great. Michael,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce said to me, why is Daddy cheering for him?
Oh, interesting.
He noticed. And I
didn't
said,
know
well,
that.
he's excited for him because he did a really great job. He knocked all the pins down.
Yeah.
I said, so Daddy cheers for you. Daddy cheers for him. I said, and you can cheer for him too. You want to go give him a high five? Yeah, okay. So, he's observing that and understanding that. But yeah, I think, it's just really important that we can build a community here. And so you and I were doing our part to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we understand. I'm looking at this paper with all these things that we're trying to fit into our week, fit into our days. And you just got to choose like every now and then. That's why it's once a month and not every week.
Yeah.
But we are hoping that, people will do that. And then we can inspire other families to figure out ways to do that too. So, So that was our Wednesday this week. It just seemed like this week, like I had so much in it.
It was busy.
And my dad, he had another mini stroke, and we got home on Sunday, and that happened on Monday. And so, of course, after gymnastics, we went right over to my parents to check on my dad, and I was worried about him and my mom every day this week. So it was definitely a doozy of a week, but we've had a lot going on. And then adding to this week, we started the new schedule for occupational therapy and speech therapy. So we're at the new place. That started this week. Unfortunately, you drove all the way across town for his first speech session, and the speech therapist was a no-show. Anyway, there was a breakdown in communication. It didn't happen. And I said, everything happens for a reason. It's okay.
Whenever you start a new thing, there's always bumps in the road. Yeah. And that's it. I wasn't upset about it.
You handled it really well, actually.
And I'm like, you know what? It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay.
It was what it was. But we did get speech in at the end of the week. He started his OT with Miss Brittany, and we're excited about that. So the Metrodome, is that what it's called?
Interactive metronome.
Metronome. I knew I was going to say something wrong.
Metrodome. I think that's a stadium.
Wasn't that
somewhere.
a movie?
I don't know.
Oh, my word. Okay, so anyway, interactive metronome. And so we had mentioned this briefly in the last podcast session and said this is one of the reasons why we have switched places is because they're familiar with it. But it's something that's going to help Bryce with his auditory processing disorder. And I know that you mentioned, you can go ahead and get him to turn it down. Okay. I know it's bothering you. I'll keep talking. But anyway, I just want to talk about this, and then we're going to bring Bryce in because he's very excited to talk about vacation today. The interactive system, you were saying when you were working with him here at the house this week, because we've added that into the day, he was having a hard time with hand motions. Is that correct?
Yeah. So first, Miss Brittany hooked him up with it at her OT session, and she said, there's a motion to do with it over your head, and you clap your hands. And she said that he was having a world of trouble with the motor coordination and clapping his hands. If you ever saw Bryce do jumping jacks,
it would clue you in.
It would clue you in. So anyway, I said, oh, okay, got it. And so, she programmed the laptop. We took the laptop home, and so we started doing it. And I'm like, wow. I said, his motor coordination is really going to affect his ability to stay on time with the beat on this interactive metronome. And this is for his hearing issue that we've gone over in previous episodes. And he's standing outside the door here playing.
It sounds like we're in an airport again. Yeah.
As loud as he can because he wants us.
Let's wrap this story.
So anyway, It's very distracting. So I texted her. I said, "Look, this is, do we need to get these movements down first before we do the program? Because this is not going to work out very well." And she says, "Well, if he can't do the motions, just show him the practice videos so that he knows what it's supposed to look like." I said, "Okay," I did that, and I did hand over hand to simulate the motions with him. And she says, "And that's okay. After that, if he just taps his hands or whatever without doing the motion, that's fine." She says, "We'll get to that."
Yeah.
She says, "But now I know how far off he is with his motor skills, And she says, "I'm really looking forward to working with him because I think she knows that she can help him improve." She said that watching his motor skills, she knows that his body is compensating for so much during his day. Just not having everything coordinated, like his hands clapping or motioning over his head.
Yeah.
And so his body is working a lot harder than a typical child.
Because things don't come natural for him.
Right. So
I told you when you gave me that report, I said, I know that God has led us to go here to Brittany and that she is going to begin peeling the layers off the onion. And we're going to be seeing some revelations and differences.
All right, let's bring him in.
I had to say, when we got home from go ahead and get him.
Yeah.
When we came home last Sunday, he asked me, "Mommy, when are we doing a podcast?" And I said, "Well, I don't think we're doing it today, buddy." But he's ready. Okay, here he comes, man.
Hey. Now remember, you gotta say more than one sentence. You gotta tell him.
You gotta tell him about it. Okay, you get to sit in my chair.
Yep.
That's exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, welcome Bryce to the show.
You're here. What do you want to say?
First thing you would say would be thank you.
Because Daddy said welcome. Go ahead. Are you nervous? No?
Well, if you don't talk, then we're going to have to wrap up.
I can't think of anything to say. Can you help me think of things to say?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, we just got back from an amazing vacation. And can you tell me one thing?
A hike. A hike that we went on.
Tell me about that hike. What happened on that hike?
We found the gold rock.
We found a gold rock in a stream, didn't we?
Yes.
And we kept it.
And we kept it.
Yeah, we're going to put it on a photo that we took on the hike. We're going to put it with the photo, aren't we?
Yes.
So, tell me something else that happened on that hike. We
climbed up the fire tower.
Yeah, once we got on top of the mountain, we climbed up a fire tower. And what could we see?
Everything.
Yeah?
We could see other states.
Yeah, I think so. Do you remember who came to visit us up on the top of the tower?
Daddy and Bryce.
And what else? Did we see an animal up there?
Yeah, we saw a bird.
Yeah, what did the bird want?
It wanted bread.
Yeah, it wanted bread from our sandwich. So we gave him a couple pieces, didn't we? And we watched him for a little while.
Yes.
Do you remember anything else we saw on the trail?
Do you know which states you saw?
I saw Tennessee and Texas, but it was quite far.
If you saw Texas, man.
I'm not
that
sure
was
we
quite
saw
far.
Texas, but I think we saw Tennessee, Georgia, and North Carolina, right?
Georgia and North
Carolina.
North Carolina,
Yeah. So what did we see on the trail?
What did we see on the trail?
Mm-hmm.
We saw a bug.
We saw a beetle, right?
Yeah, a beetle.
Was he small or big?
He was a big one.
He was a big one.
And we saw a big frog.
We saw a big frog. Yep.
And then let's go to something else.
Okay. What's something else that we did on vacation?
The boat.
The boat. And what happened on the boat?
We saw an eagle.
We saw a bald eagle. That is right. And what did we do?
We did something on there. I drove the boat.
You did drive the boat, and you did a very good job driving it, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. We took pictures of the bald eagle. Was there any other favorite parts of our vacation?
Yes.
Like what?
I had to remember that I couldn't remember.
Do you remember
Okay.
doing the steps?
Oh,
No, it was not that.
No?
Something else you were thinking of? We can come back to it. Do you want to talk about running the steps?
I'm done.
Are you done?
Think you're all
What
done?
else you want to talk about? We don't have to talk about vacation.
I could talk about
Anything you want.
anything I like.
Yeah.
Tell them what game you're playing right now.
Well, I'm currently playing. I'm playing my iPad right now currently, and I'm just watching airplanes.
Yeah, that's one of your favorite things.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Well, what else is going on?
Therapy.
Therapy? Yeah. What about therapy?
We started it.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's great.
Good. Good. Anything else you want to say?
That's good.
All right. Okay.
Yes, it's great.
Okay.
Day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bryce. What do you want to tell the people?
Bye. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Very good. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for visiting. He's going to go back and crank up the
Don't
airplanes.
turn it too loud. They don't want to hear it, okay? All right. Busted.
I know. He was running to get that iPad.
Yeah, he was. He was ready to play you all some airplane
I
sounds.
think he wants his own podcast called Airplane Sounds.
He would love that.
And there he is, outside the door.
Outside the door,
Full
at
volume.
least. It's okay.
All right, episode 107.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about the next time.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.